Good morning, all of you. Now, today, in continuation with the same history chapter, Independent India, we will have a look at the birth of 5-year plans. Okay, so during the course of this chapter, we have already seen that what was the condition of India when India got independence, that how both the countries, India and Pakistan, they were devastated by the partition. We have also seen that what happened after partition, and then how India got a constitution, what were the important features of the Indian constitution, and then we had a look at the formation of states on the basis of language, that the Congress, they have promised the people during the national struggle for independence that after getting independence, India would be divided into different provinces on the basis of language. But after partition, the Congress leaders, they did not go ahead by fulfilling their promise, because they were afraid that since the country has already been divided on the basis of religion, so how can they go on and divide the country now on the basis of language? And so they did not wanted to go ahead with it. But then we studied about the veteran Gandhian named Potti Sriramulu, belonging to Andhra Pradesh, and how he went on a hunger strike and how he eventually died. And then because of that, there was so much chaos and confusion and violence in the Andhra region that the central government, they have to give in to the demand. And later on, when one state was formed on the basis of language, so the other states, they also upped their demand for the formation of states on the basis of language. And so in 1956, a state reorganization commission, it was set up to divide the country, or to form again, restructure again the provincial boundaries on the basis of language. And that we have seen that how different states, they came up on the basis of languages. Now we move on to the birth of 5-year plans. Now, the biggest problem that was facing India soon after we got independence was the problem of poverty. Now we have seen that India was a British colony, and they treated India as one. So we know that they took raw materials from here at very low prices, sent them to Britain, finished the goods there again, brought them back, and sold them at high prices, thereby making huge profits. And during the British rule, there was also a great drain of wealth from India to Britain, because the Britishers who were getting their salaries here, now mostly their families resided in England. So they were sending their salaries back to England, and then even they were getting their pensions in England. So the money was going out of Indian market to the British country, and so there was a drain of wealth from India to Britain. And India was in acute economic problem when we got independence. So the main problem facing the country was the problem of poverty. And then in 1950, the government, they started the 5-year plans, and this they did by setting the planning commission. Now, why 5-year plans? Why not 1, 2, 3, 4? Why 5? Any idea?
Ma'am, because the government that is formed, it is of five years time period.
Yes, correct. Because the term of the government is 5 years, and hence the 5-year plans. And so this planning commission, it was given the task, it was given the job to assign roles to search and to browse and to find out that which new industries should be started in the country, and which should be started by the government, and which industry should be started by the private sector, means independent individuals which can invest in huge industries. So the planning commission was given the task so as to assign that which sector, like government, they will invest in which industries, and the public and the private sector, they will invest in which industries. Then its work was also to find out that how to achieve a balance between different states and regions. And because earlier also we have seen that how when we got independence, so the problem of unity was also there, and the development also, that each sector, they got equal benefit from development also. Just hold a minute bit. Alright, Okay, so now the planning commission was also given the task to see that like when industries are established, they are done in such a way so that all the regions of India, all the states, they would benefit from it, and means not some state will lag behind, and others will become prosperous. And so their task was to see that everything was done in balance. All right. Now the second 5-year plan, it was started in 1956, and the focus of the second 5-year plan was on building large dams and industry, and then it also had to decide that how much money, all right, how much money should be invested within different sectors, like in production, and then because you have money to invest, but then how much to invest where. So that was also the job of the planning commission to decide that. And then in addition to the decision of the allocation of the investment between sectors, it was also given the job to encourage the domestic, means Indian production of industrial goods. Earlier, India was simply importing all the industrial goods. So now the emphasis was that India should itself produce these industrial goods. And so we're keeping that in mind, 5 steel mills at Bhilai, Durgapur, Rourkela were established, and coal production was also increased under the second 5-year plan. Then the Atomic Energy Commission, it was formed in 1957 with Homi J. Bhabha as the first chairman, and the Tata Institute of Fundamental Research, it was also established as a research institute under the second 5-year plan. Now, so much emphasis was given under the 5-year plan to industries and all that, and so this approach had many supporters also, but at the same time there were many who were criticizing this approach of the government. And then there was undue emphasis not only on industries but also on agriculture also. So some felt that the government has given undue emphasis on agriculture, and others felt that government has neglected primary education and it is only emphasizing on agriculture and industries. And then many believed that the government, they have not taken into account the environmental implications that could arise out of this industrial advancement. And so different people, they have different opinions about the policies under the second 5-year plan. And Miraben, who was Mahatma Gandhi's follower, she also wrote in 1949 that by science and machinery, means by science, technology and advancement, mankind could get huge benefits, but that will be only for a time. But ultimately what will happen, man will come to desolation, or man will come to ruin. So if there is undue emphasis on science and machinery and technology and advancement of that only, then for a time man will benefit, but later on what will happen, man will come to desolation or destruction because of all of that. And then what she said was that we have got to study nature's balance, means if we want to really prosper and if we want to live long, then we need to study how nature works, and then we need to develop our lives according to the laws of nature, and then only we'll be able to survive as physically healthy and morally decent species. So we need to work according to the laws of nature. We have to work according to the laws of nature, and we have to strike a balance with nature, then only we'll be able to prosper. So that was the view of Miraben, who was a follower of Mahatma Gandhi. Now Nehruji's foreign policy, we move on to that. Now apart from handling, when Nehruji, he became the first prime minister of a country, the country was in a very confused and chaotic state. We have seen what was the condition when we got independence. So apart from handling all that tumultuous, means confused situation after independence, Jawaharlal Nehru's contribution it also lies in the foreign policies, means the foreign policies. So he being the prime minister of the first prime minister of independent India, so his policies had a very great impact on India. And now his foreign policies, they are characterized, there are two special things, two ideological aspects very important concerning Nehruji's foreign policies. Now the first is that he wanted India to have an identity that would be separate, independent of any open commitment. Now at that time we have two superpowers, we had the USA and the USSR. The USSR later on it got disintegrated in 1991, 1992, and so it got disintegrated at that time. But you know, when we got independence, there were two major superpowers, and most of the countries of the world, you know, they showed an open commitment to either of these two countries. And so what Nehruji wanted, that India should not openly have an identity that will be with one of these two superpowers, and he wanted India to have an independent identity. And second, in matters of international affairs, he had a very strong faith in goodwill and honesty. So he thought that if he goes on along with the other international members of the world with goodwill and with honesty, now that will do wonders. But we'll see what happened later on. Now the first policy, that India will have an independent identity, now that led to the formation of NAM, or non-aligned movement. And the second faith, the faith that he had in goodwill and honesty in international affairs, now that was shaken by the Chinese attack of 1962. And now we again come back to his first ideological aspect, that India should have an identity which is independent of any of the major two superpower blocks. So Nehru, he found allies or people who had the same view or concept in Tito, Nasir, Sukarno, Yuno and Nkrumah. So these people were supporters of Nehruji's ideological aspects. And so an alliance of new nations was not taken seriously. So you know, there were some people who supported Nehruji at that time, but you know, still at that time people thought that no, we should not have another association of countries, those who do not want it to have an open association with any of the two major power blocks. So at that time not much attention was given to that, but however the importance of an alliance was soon felt, and it was found out that NAM, or non-aligned movement, means you do not align yourself with any of the two superpowers, and so it was soon found out that NAM, it had clear objectives, and it also included the gradual decolonization of the world, and a strong statement that the member countries, so basically what it meant, that NAM would have countries, and those countries will take a stand that they will not align themselves with any of the two major power blocks, and they wanted that it could lead to a decolonization of the world, means the countries will be independent, alright, of their identity, and not take sides with any one of the two power block or superpowers at that time. Okay, why? Because you know, sometimes the tensions in the world was so that it could lead to a cold war, and that is why he wanted that the countries will not so show their support to one as opposed to another, because it could lead to a Cold War. And so that is why Nehruji took this stand of NAM, non being aligned to any of the two superpowers. Now the Chinese invasion of India in 1962, it forced Nehruji to change his stand on international affairs, and it also made India to think and to see the importance of your own military strength, and not to only depend on peaceful negotiations in matters of international affairs. So you know, the Chinese attack, it led India to think, and also Nehruji to change his policies on international affairs, and to come to the conclusion that only through peaceful negotiations we cannot achieve everything in international affairs, but we also need to have a strong military base to save ourselves from any invasion. Okay, now by the 1970s, so a large number of countries they have joined the non-aligned movement. Okay, and so for today we'll stop here. That is the all the time we have for today. And when we meet tomorrow, then we will continue and we will complete the chapter in tomorrow's class. So, have you all understood? Any confusion, anyone?
No, ma'am.
Alright, all clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Alright, so that will
Yes,
be
ma'am.
all for today.